And we are live. Hello, everyone, and hello, Crazy. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. Not too bad. How you doing?
Excellent. Beautiful, beautiful time.
Yeah, because you just got back from the links, so of course you're loving it.
Yeah.
Um, let's also welcome Juan Gonzalez. He's here each and every week. This week we are absent Chart Davidson, although he may show up a little bit later. So if he does show up, we can have him join the stream. So Juan, how you doing?
Not too bad. Had a great week in the forex market. Enjoying the peaks and valleys. Love ranging markets.
Good stuff. Okay, well tonight, as the headline suggests, we're going to talk about possible catalysts and what can bring the next round of adoption to the crypto market. We're kind of in a lull. We still have been the last 3 or 4 months. Nothing much has changed. There is a little bit of news that we're going to talk about that has come down the pipeline, but nothing, nothing's going to pump the market. But for anyone that's a Solana lover, you'll like the news that we're going to have, and also for those on the BNB chain, a little bit of news that Juan was telling us a few minutes ago. So I'll start it off. Really, all we have for the Solana news, for those that have been following, Fire Dancer is going to be launched later this year, either November, December, or possibly January. And they recently just implemented their bug campaign. So the software is live, it's working, and any devs or whatever that want to test the system and see if there's any bugs that need to be worked out, that has gone live, which is great news. The other thing I also read is that for the longest time, Uniswap was kind of the king of dexes on the Ethereum chain. But recently, believe it or not, Radium on the Solana network has surpassed Uniswap in daily, weekly, and monthly volume for the last couple of months, which is amazing. And then right behind Uniswap is actually another dex on Solana, which is Orca. That kind of surprised me. I know Orca has been popular with people, but it kind of hadn't really picked up mainstream adoption, but apparently it has now. It's right behind Uniswap, which I found rather interesting. Seems like anything on Ethereum right now is losing ground to a lot of the new kids on the block.
Yeah, and they're both platforms that you were somewhat not necessarily promoting, but using heavily, and we've made videos on them in the
Mm-hmm.
past, and it's Black Cat Monopoly. Which, yeah, Yeah, so good on you for actually seeing the potential in those projects and seeing that meme season happen on the Solana network before it actually kicked off. So good
And that
call.
was part of the huge reason for all of the volume on Radium, is because a lot of those meme coins you could buy through Radium, and a lot of the launches and stuff were actually done on the Radium Dex. Which, yeah, it's not that it was by accident, because I've been a fan of Solana, as everyone knows, for a long time, and I did my research, and Radium and Orca were the two that were the best that I had found. And then, of course, a little bit later on was Camino, which is also right up there with volume. So it's good to see the
Yeah.
Solana ecosystem really doing well in this downtime as well.
Yeah, even with that meme season somewhat coming to an end, there's still an absolute ton of volume when it comes to Solana memes.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. And then we were just discussing as well, the other little bit of news that's pertinent was about the BNB chain. Juan, did you want to let us know, or let the viewers know, what you were telling us a few minutes ago?
Oh yeah. The SEC decided that BUSD is not a security. Like as if no one else knew that already.
Big
Um,
surprise.
I just think it was a waste of taxpayer dollars, to be honest with you, to chase something that everybody kind of knew. But again, their attempts to take down CZ and in its BNZ BNB chain has been unsuccessful,
Mhm.
and I think they're just mad about it. To me, it's a slap in the face of wasting money where we can spend it elsewhere, especially during this economy. And I think that it's good news for us, right? Because I think it's finally now the third securities fail when it comes to putting something, labeling a major crypto chain as a security. So I think legislation hopefully will now have precedents as examples of what is considered a security or not. What do you guys think?
There's actually a lot of rumbling right now about the CFTC wanting to position themselves. They're saying Bitcoin, Ethereum are commodities, and this would fall under that, and that's their jurisdiction. So hopefully that positioning actually has legs, and things actually start getting managed properly as property, what it is, and instead of treating them like shares of a company.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. And I believe they also they also said that they believe that 70 to 80% of all crypto are commodities and not securities.
Yeah,
So that's interesting
yeah,
too. You know, like you mentioned one, this is like the third major one. You know, that's they're just a couple of many that are going to fall. I think a lot of the companies or projects that the SEC has taken to court or sued, they're eventually going to start falling. You know, they're going to be dropping the lawsuits, and I don't think the SEC will become irrelevant, but I think it's going to be a little bit different down the road, especially
yeah.
if the CFTC get their say.
I can see the SEC repositioning themselves from looking at actual crypto tokens and trying to enforce them to starting to really focus on crypto projects where you got that platform token or whatever to participate in games or anything else. And I think they're going to start targeting there and letting the CFTC actually do their job when it comes to the property side of things.
I
Yeah.
totally agree. It should be a commodity, you know.
Yeah.
It's property, and I think they need to start segregating the rules to define them in the crypto
Yeah.
space. You know,
Yeah.
again, we don't need super regulation. It just needs some definitions.
Well,
Well, yeah.
you know what?
You can't just
The
start.
ironic thing.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say the ironic thing about that is the SEC and the CFTC, they can't even decide between among themselves. You know what jurisdiction is whose. So how are they going to regulate it when they can't even stop fighting amongst themselves? You know what I mean?
Well, that's
It's
just the
crazy.
thing. How is anybody supposed to be in compliance across the board if
Hmm.
there isn't actual rules and regulations to follow to be in compliance?
Hmm.
It's everything's a gamble, and you shouldn't be throwing lawsuits at companies just to try and get your cut just because, right? Like, oh, we have the power of the government, we'll just keep you in court till you're bankrupt. Pay
Yeah.
us money, right? That's pretty much all that's happening. So
Yeah.
if there's
That's a
actual proper guidance and
yeah.
things can be properly fought legally, then we'll
Yeah,
see some
that's not a
change.
very good strategy. It hasn't worked for them so far. So they're going to have to
No,
come up with a different game plan.
just the amount of taxpayer money that's been wasted
Yeah.
on that is absolutely disgusting, especially in a time where you're seeing such high inflation and high cost of living and pressure, financial pressure for your citizens. To waste money like that on something that isn't even regulated, that's sad.
Yeah. It's not a good look. Not a good look.
No.
You know, when people are looking for ways to invest, what little funds they have, where you can actually make a decent return if invested properly. I think this is one of the few avenues that should not be like overly regulated. It should be easily accessible and easily defined.
Yeah.
And they just, no, put your money in the stock market. So in 30 years, maybe you'll make some money. Like, come on, man.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't be hating my stock market now.
They're
Yeah,
trying to slow down the growth one. They're
let's
trying to
go
slow down.
GME. Yay.
Yeah. Okay, let's switch gears here for a second, guys. You know, like we mentioned at the top, the market is kind of slow. We've been in this sideways chop, a little bit of down, sideways chop for the last couple of months. Currently, Bitcoin is at 57,356. Now, a lot of people that aren't really following the day to day might be a little bit fearful of that. If you look at the fear and greed index, it is down around 30, 35. So there are a lot of people, there is a lot of fear in the market. A lot of people are very uncertain, but there is a little bit of a silver lining because what people may not know is we'll use a couple of examples. Germany, they've been dumping Bitcoin. They seized just over $1 billion worth in some kind of an illicit scandal that was going on over there, and they've just been selling, offloading. I believe they have only about 30% left. There's a lot of fear about the Mt. Gox, you know, when they get their, well, they're actually getting it in cash. I think Mt. Gox sold off the assets they're going to be getting in cash. And that could actually be a good thing because a lot of people that were in back in when did the Mt. Gox thing happen? 2011, 2012, 2013, something like that,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. So their Bitcoin is now worth a heck of a lot more. And, you know, there's a good possibility that those people want to remain in the market. So we may see some of that money flood back in, which is not a bad thing. So considering what's been going on, Bitcoin's price has held up not too bad. Now there is a sector. This is the segue into our topic. There is a sector in crypto which has done really really well. For those that are on Telegram or are familiar with the Ton chain, it has maintained its price. It's still pretty close to all time highs, and they're really attracting a lot of newbies into the space because they're doing on the chain a lot of play to earn games. You see these clickers is what they're calling them. Hamster Combat is one example. Beast is another. There's many others. Pixel, and I think this is great for adoption, not only into the crypto space in general, but I think it's a great way to bring in the newbies, those who they like those games that are on their phone or whatever. What do we got? Like you remember back in the day, there was the Angry Birds, and then you have, of course, going way back like Tetris, and then more recent games that are out. Well, these clickers are not exactly like that, but it is a way for you to basically do nothing. Click on your phone, earn money or internet money on those games, and then when they do an airdrop, these projects will do an airdrop eventually, and you get a portion of that. And that's what Ton did with Not. For those that are familiar with Not Coin, the same idea. You did a clicker, and then based on how many points you had, that was your airdrop. And a lot of people got quite a few thousand. So I think it's really piqued interest. And with nothing really else going on in the crypto market, this seems to be something that a lot of people are adopting. Now, just for reference, when Hamster Combat came out, it took no time to adopt a record amount of users. It was one of the most adopted. Well, I can't really call it a crypto yet because they haven't released the coin, but the project, the adoption was crazy in the millions. They even broke a Mr. Beast record on YouTube for amount of followers in a 1 week period, which is phenomenal. They have millions upon millions upon millions of followers. So even though the crypto market itself as a whole is not doing well, the adoption is still going on, and this is one of the main catalysts of these clicker games on the Telegram Ton chain.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
actually,
what
I
what do you think
so
actually caused this in your mentality? Why do you think people are so drawn to these small little niche projects?
Well, this one specifically because it's on Telegram. As we all know, Telegram has hundreds of millions of users, and when people are bored and word spreads throughout the different groups about these games that are starting. Ton or the Notcoin one was a perfect example. It kind of set the stage, so people got into it. They started playing the game, and then all of a sudden, another one pops up, and another one pops up, and another one pops up. So when you have a like a huge following on a platform such as Telegram, and then you start integrating Telegram with crypto, it's a natural step for anyone who's just getting into the space.
yeah,
I
I
think
checked.
it's the ease of entry. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah.
I think that it costs you nothing to get in, and it's similar to Pi. Remember where the Pi mining thing was coming out?
Nope.
Everybody was doing it
Still
because
doing
it
it.
cost them right, and because it cost them nothing.
Right.
And I think this is a good way of getting people to understand and get more about crypto. This is a good gateway, and it's word of mouth. So you're telling your buddies, you're telling your friends, and I think that's why it's such a big catalyst right now.
Yeah, I did check out the Hamster Combat myself, and the platform that they've set up, the game, it's actually really addictive. So I can see why it's gaining so much momentum. I do believe that is one of the largest crypto projects right now as well, right?
It is. It's the biggest. Yeah,
Yeah.
by users. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see why. Yeah, no barrier to entry, and when they do release a token or something, you got like all these people that are in it that could make some money off of it. That's just fantastic.
Yeah, I was one of the ones that did the not coin on the Ton chain, and yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with my airdrop. I got close to I believe it was $500, and I didn't really even play the game as hard as a lot of people did, so I can imagine what some people got.
Yeah, we had Black Cat in the chat saying he was mining Pi. He's about to stop, so he's saying that they've cut the earnings so low that it's almost not worth it anymore. So
Yeah, which I mean that could be a good thing, not necessarily a bad thing. It just means anybody who's been in for a long time, you've got quite a little bag sitting there. So if Pi does actually release to mainnet, happy days.
yeah, he said Black Cat's still saying that Apparently there won't ever be a Pi token. So I guess there's some negative rumors going around about that.
Oh, that means it's going to be launched soon. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Just like seeing that fear greed index in the market lately being at all time lows
Yeah.
for like since January, and going, oh, blood's in the water. It's time to buy.
Yeah.
There's your signal. When everyone's starting to panic, that's your signal. It's time to load up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are. I'm hoping that something does come off of it. I think that'll bring a lot of excitement
Yeah,
for future developers to do something similar, right? Like a V2 or something like that. Bring awareness into crypto. I think that we need it, and I'm hoping that there's just more adaptability and not just for the space, but more for everyday use. You know, the simple things.
Yeah. I think, like you touched on, Dip, one of the biggest deterrents for new users and adoption is it's not easy. I mean, depending on how you get involved, there's a lot to know, from setting up wallets to, passphrases and doing transfers and stuff. It can be a little bit daunting, a little bit intimidating if you've never done it before. So these, the Pi, the clicker games, the play to earn, the hamster combats and beasts of the world, they it's an easy entry. Barrier of entry is nil. You don't need to put any of your own money in, and it's kind of a gateway. You can start learning the different ins and outs of how crypto works through these play to earn games. So I believe it already has started. Like I said, the rest of the market is down, but yet these projects are gaining adoption very fast, and the popularity is there.
yeah. We had girls crypto experience in the chat saying hi to everyone. So hello back to you.
Hey, she's always on Spaces every Thursday with the DGens. Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Um,
So
I was just gonna
what?
say that's pretty much it for news, unless there's anything else that you gentlemen have heard coming down the pipeline.
Well, I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that. Yeah, I wouldn't say that there's a lot of news out, but I don't know. Like, just it feels very, very, very bullish across all markets right now for me. And I don't know if you were here last week, you probably recall me going, okay, I don't see anything happening till after the election. People are hyper focused on politics right now. People are broke. They want to know what's coming up next. And yeah, I don't know. Seeing the market right now and seeing that bottom that we hit, and it just seems like a really good opportunity, and it gave me
Yeah.
bullish vibes. Like every time that I've seen this happen, good things have come
Mhm.
afterwards. So
Yeah, exactly. The last few weeks, there hasn't really been anything bullish to speak of. Everybody's focus has been on the election, like you said. But today, I always, keep track of the ETFs and the inflows. And the last couple of days, yeah, they've been really, really good.
yeah,
Especially BlackRock. BlackRock is back full effect, and the ETF are starting to inflow a lot. And then, of course, Grayscale, the one that had been dumping for what seemed like forever, they haven't been. So that's a nice balance there when you start getting
yeah,
positive inflows day
they
after
might
day after day.
they might be out. The price is right, for investors on the traditional side to actually invest in this ETF now after it's
Yeah.
pumped up. It went back down. Now you're getting entry prices again, and
Yeah.
you can move on for with that and just like a retest, right? So
And the other thing I've noticed too, Dip, you're heavy into traditional investments as well, and they've been hot lately. Like a lot of, especially Tesla. Tesla's been on fire. Nvidia, everyone knows about that. A bit of a pullback, but before that, have been done really well. The S&P 500, a lot of the companies in there have been doing well. So I have a bit of a theory that they can only run for so long, and eventually people are going to start taking profits, and those profits could trickle into the crypto space. So we'll see.
well, that's hard to say, right? Because on the traditional side of things, you got to factor in the inflation, the value of the
Mhm.
dollar, right? So as
Yeah.
as an independent business, all this inflationary pressure gets passed down to the consumer, and then so now when you're putting out your quarterly earnings report, you're looking fantastic just off
Mhm.
of passing the inflation down to the customer. So everything's looking really bullish, but yeah, as of right now, there's no signs of any stopping on that money printer. So with the
Yeah.
devaluation of the dollar, it's just gonna keep ticking up. It's just like you it's inevitable. You
Yeah, that's true. That's
unless
true.
there's
It
unless
just
there's some serious FUD, like a
yeah.
war that the U.S. is actually directly involved in or something. Yeah, that's got
I,
nowhere to go but up. Go
I
ahead,
think
Mark.
there is some interesting situations though that are on the horizon. Like I don't know if it's what's happening in China, but apparently a couple of their like 40 of their banks might are in trouble. And does that mean are they going to do a margin call on all the debt that they own to save their banks, which now affects the U.S. Right? So what does that do? Does that is that enough to cause a catalyst in for Bitcoin, right?
See,
As the
see,
U.S.
I wouldn't be
Go
too
ahead.
concerned about that because you wouldn't want to be taking or calling back into your own currency that's worse off than the one that it's held in, like U.S. Treasury bonds or whatever. So that would be a bad move for China to do that. They're actually better off staying in the higher value dollar long term. And then as for their banks and stuff, like it is a communist country and everything's you're basically the banks aren't failing, the government is. Right, right.
Right,
It's just
Yeah.
the
right.
dollar. Right? Yeah, their dollar
But
or yen or whatever.
you don't know what Remember, they're part of the whole BRICS system, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting how now it can't be called BRICS anymore, and it's just called BRIS.
Well, well, the where the BRICS part comes in is that's their gold reserves are backed in the
Right,
BRICS currency,
right.
right?
Yeah.
So their actual fiat currency, just like everybody else's, is trash.
Well,
So the
okay. Well,
BRICS
how?
currency with being backed by a physical gold, that's a completely different currency altogether, and that's just for trading energy generally.
And,
Well,
and
what's your read on the fact that China has been selling off their treasuries, like the U.S. Treasury bonds for one, like they've been just kind of transferring over. That really doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it doesn't make sense. Well, they're going to do some. They need operating to fund their government to some extent with it, but yeah, they're the largest holder, I believe, of U.S. Treasury bonds out there, aside from like Tether.
Yeah, yeah, but they've been selling like crazy, and I don't understand
Yeah,
why they would want to convert it into a fiat that's sinking faster than the Titanic. Like I don't get it.
to
every
me,
fiat is.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the charts for gold, and I see that it started to reach that triple top, and we're interested to see is it going to break into the $2,500 territory for the first time, or is it going to bounce off and lead into some sell off? So to me, like I said, paying attention to those moves might spur a good movement for Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Good catalyst right there, or not. So it's going to be interesting the next couple of weeks.
So, but since you're more familiar with following gold prices and doing the forex and everything else, uh, how do you see gold going into price discovery as something that's going to rocket it, or is it going to be a place where it plateaus for a while? Like,
I think people are still using gold the same way they use Bitcoin as
yeah,
a
store
store of
value.
value.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's interchangeable. So if Bitcoin is suffering, people are moving money into gold, and when Bitcoin is pumping, people take the gold out and put it into Bitcoin. They don't want to hold the dollar. I can't blame them. I don't want to hold the dollar. I want to buy gold chains. Um, but at the end of the day, this it's a good way of looking at a different version of arbitrage between two different currencies, and that tend to be profitable right now. If you look at it either way, if you invested in either of these things last year, you're banking. However you spend it, you're banking. And people may have a kind of like, oh, Bitcoin's down at 57. You're still up over 20% over the last 6 months.
oh yeah, way up,
So yeah, way up. So I think there's a
way
lot
up.
of good news on the horizon. We just need to pay attention to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well, we just need to get through this doldrum of a summer. crypto. Well, don't really want to call it crypto winter right now, but certainly not very much fun, not much action, not a lot of volume, not a lot of people coming into the space. Summer vacation, all that kind of stuff. I just can't wait to kind of skip over these next month and a half, next 2 months, and then get into the meat and potatoes of the bull market again. It's kind of
Yeah,
boring right now, to be quite honest.
I hope it happens. I hope it happens sooner than that. Like as I said last week, things were looking like okay, we're just gonna chop sideways, in my opinion, till there's an election and people have something to be excited and confident about,
Mm.
regardless of what the outcome is. And then yeah, then you see pretty much while we were on the stream, it started dumping down, and then we get that sub 60K Bitcoin again, and then it just hits that hard floor. It dumped down and just now we're just staying there, and it's
Yeah,
just like, all right, so this is the price. This is where people are buying.
yeah, it's holding that
DCA is
line
not
pretty
boring.
good. No, I suppose not. And no, like not to take away from anybody who kind of missed the boat during the initial pump, Black Cat. So it gives them an opportunity to accumulate now. It gives them their second chance, so to speak. But the thing is, right now these prices. I mean, this is a good opportunity to buy. And you're going to hear those people that are saying, no, no, it's going to go lower. It's going to go lower. And then when Bitcoin does eventually pump again back up to 70, they're going to be like, oh, I should have bought. I missed my chance. Well, now's your chance. I mean,
Yeah,
now's the perfect time to start DCing and get yourself into the market.
it's time to test your testicular fortitude and just give her, right?
Give her.
Yeah, just block out all the noise.
Yep.
This is a good price. I'm doing it,
Yep.
right? You can't let anything else influence you. Like, look at the discount you got right now. If it was a
Yeah.
sale on anything else, you'd be super excited. So,
And anyone who's been in the market for at least a year, I'm sure you can remember back when Bitcoin was down in the low 20s, mid 20s, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's expensive." And well, look where we are now. We're 3 times that amount. So don't make the same mistake again
oh,
and miss out on this opportunity
well, even
because
down when we were at 15.5 at the bottom of the bear
yeah,
market,
yeah,
everybody's screaming, it's going to 9K. And no, I'm buying. This is it.
yeah.
And
I mean,
I went all in and I
ultimately,
got the bottom.
yeah, you did. And
Yeah.
ultimately, you look at it this way: what's the difference if you bought it at 15 or if you bought it at 10? I mean, really, look
Yeah.
where we are now. Is there really
Exactly.
that much of a difference? So the
No.
same thing could be said right now. 57,000. What's the difference buying at 57,000 or 50,000 when it's going to be at 120, 130, 140 in the next year? So it really doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Some crazy catalyst could even drive it way higher than that
Yeah.
too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I
Like
was just being
when it
conservative.
yeah, when it all comes down to the value of fiat currency reflecting on the price of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's always going to be Bitcoin. It's the
Hmm.
devaluation of fiat that drives that price up, right? So
Hmm.
probably more so than actual adoption and holding it. It's just poor monetary policy makes Bitcoin shine. So yeah, I don't see governments doing anything smart coming down the road or anything different. Like the best thing any country could do right now is use the Bitcoin as their a burn mechanism and get rid of all their debt. Get rid of
You
all
know,
that extra printed money.
Speaking
You
of
know,
stupid government, I think what Germany is doing right now is absolutely asinine. I don't understand what they are doing, and they even have members of their government that are saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, stop! No, no, don't be selling it. Hold on to it. Hold on to it. It's going to be worth so much more." But yet they don't care. They're just
see,
selling. It's unbelievable to me the amount that they have.
yeah.
Wow,
Well,
mind
I'm
blowing.
not familiar what their legal systems like either, right? They might not be able to hold that, like, if it's like a property, they might not be able to hold the property itself. They have to liquidate it to keep it. I don't know how their government
Well,
works, right?
one of their government members has been saying that she's been trying to get them to stop selling. So I think they're allowed. They're allowed to hold it if they wanted to. They're just not, which is crazy to me. Absolutely
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, it's hard to bet against your own currency. when you're the
Yeah,
one in charge, right? So
yeah,
I don't I I don't know. It'll happen. It'll be no choice but for it to happen, but yeah, things are good. Things are
keep
good.
it there for a couple of weeks yet. Then I should have
Yeah.
some free money to fill a bigger bag. Oh, Black Cat, your days are running out, my friend. This is your second chance. Don't squander it.
Come on, show us your testicular fortitude.
A lot of stuff coming up. It's true. A lot of discounts to be had.
Yeah.
A lot of consolidation still happening. It's a good opportunity to take advantage of the fear index. Like they
Yeah.
say, be greedy, right? They're in the fear market. So
Yep. Yeah. And there's a lot of altcoins on a huge discount right now. Like some of my favorites that I've been accumulating are back at prices that they were back in January, February. So, and even earlier in some cases. So it's a great discount to get into like really good projects.
Yeah. For anybody that thought they missed out, this is the time.
Yep. Yep.
And
And the funny
even
thing
if it
is
goes
what,
a yeah, even if it goes a little lower, it doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Oh, yeah. It won't really matter. And that's just the thing. Like Black Hat's a perfect example. 4 months ago, when we'll say Solana, use that as an example, or even Superverse, which is one of my other favorites, when they were up, 4 times what they are right now, people were like, "Oh, I wish, I missed out. I wish the prices were cheaper. I wish we'd, have a better entry. I wish we'd have a bit of a dump." The dump comes, and what happens? They're too fearful to buy. They got what they wanted, but yet they're too afraid to buy. Not you, Black Hat, but I'm just saying in general. Yeah, it's kind of mind blowing. People are mind fucking themselves, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, it's scary too, right?
Yeah,
Go ahead, one.
no, I'm just thinking about how the how great it is of a time to kind of just do your research, get into some memes, dabble in some blue chips, practice on understanding what kind of market you want to be in. Even Forex right now is ranging. A good time to accumulate, especially in the gold market. So lots of good stuff, great opportunities out there. It just takes a little bit of education.
yeah, yeah. One thing that they talked about on Spaces today, on the DGen Spaces on Twitter, Chart was kind of mentioning that this year in the bull market, the NFT sector hasn't really taken off. And we did mention this last week as well. And I agree with him that probably one of the biggest reasons for that is a lot of the NFT investors from the last bull market, 2021, are the same people that are dabbling in the meme coins. And that's why, a lot of that capital and money had flowed into the meme coins instead of the NFT space, which I absolutely agree. But I also do think that the NFT, or sorry, the meme coin phase or craze and everything is going to die down. And I could see a lot of that money flowing back into what they know and what got them involved in crypto in the first place is the NFT space. So those projects that are really good with good fundamentals, good, just good overall projects and that are giving returns on being like ownership, I think those ones are going to do really well.
Yeah, especially when you look at if there is some new retail in the space. I know there's not a lot or any sign of it, but someone with a low barrier to entry getting into the meme coins and being successful, they might just be buying those meme coins because of the price of the blue chips, right? So that could have a trickle up effect, which will eventually come. But I don't know. People seem to be liking these memes so much. I think it's just going to be a sector of its own. It'll probably die down
Yeah.
a little, but I can just see
Yeah.
it being just its own little thing that's just constantly going.
Yeah. Yeah. And 80% of all meme traffic is on the Sol network. So, I mean, it's a love hate right there. I love Solana. I love everything about the ecosystem, everything they have coming down the pipeline. But I could have done without a little bit of the meme coin volume because it did take away from a lot of other legit projects. And like I said previously, I hope this little pullback that we've had or this mini bear trend in the bull market that we're in will kind of reset things and people will be a little bit smarter with their money. But we'll see.
Hey, the amount of volume actually triggered an upgrade that was needed to the system.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
instead of Solana going through some of the trials and tribulations that they did in the past, where something gets really viral and it shuts them down. Like, granted,
Yeah.
they've always had a good track record of getting things back up quick and everything else. The memes kind of forced that big upgrade in transaction volume that the network
Hmm.
needed before a lot of liquidity actually went in and utility, right? So
Yeah.
there's a positive side to it as well.
That's true. It kind of gave them a glimpse into being able to handle like high volumes of traffic. I mean, let's be honest, guys. Solana at the peak of the meme coin season was having more daily transactions and volume than every other chain combined,
Yeah.
and they managed to do it very well. They only had a couple of little blips, and they recently had an update that, let's call it a band-aid. It is to kind of get them by for now. But once Fire Dancer is released, then they're going to be able to handle way more traffic and volume than, or they're, the amount of traffic and volume will be nowhere near the amount that they could actually handle. It'll
Okay.
be, it'll be blip free and very quick. I believe it's going to be close. Well, right away it'll be more 50,000 to 100,000 transaction per second TPS. But then as it gets mature and becomes fully online, they're going to be able to do close to 1 million transactions per second. Like, think about that. That's 100 times more than, say, Visa or MasterCard, which we already know that those companies never have any issues and they can handle the amount of traffic that they have. So it's unbelievable. And once Fire Dancer is released, I don't think there'll be any more network issues with Solana.
No, and I believe that would push it to be faster than Ethereum as well.
Oh, it
Or is
already is.
already is?
Ethereum is, yeah. Oh, it already is. Yeah.
Yeah, right now I think it's up by 2%. Oh no, like 10% faster than Ethereum.
Uh,
Okay.
10% right now. Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, all it has to do is now build that use case, which I think I've discussed before, and there is a use case. They just have not announced it.
Right.
So,
But that's the beauty of the speed and power that they're going to be able to achieve, is that the use case can be anything and everything. Like, anybody will be able to develop on it and never have to worry about having speed issues or throughput issues or scaling issues. None of that.
Well,
It,
or the big thing, gas fee issues.
gas fees too. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's because Solana. You're looking at something that you could run smart contracts on the same as you can the Ethereum network
Yeah,
without the high volume making you go broke trying to cash out, right?
exactly. Yeah. And then, how many times when you were trying to figure things out, you wanted to do, send Ethereum or something on the Ethereum network somewhere, and you ended up having to do 2 or 3 transactions. Next thing you're $500, you're only getting about 330 on the other end because the rest of it went to gas fees.
Yeah,
Whereas with Solana, you're talking a fraction of a penny per transaction. So it's, night and day difference.
yeah, it'll take a lot of that volume from the Ethereum network for sure.
Yeah.
yeah, and and just proof is in the pudding. You look at all the memes that were built on the Solana chain. You look at how popular it is. It could definitely be one of those things that turns Solana into the next Ethereum, price wise.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Tokenomics, you always got to take that into account and everything. But yeah, you're exactly right. And for those also that have been kind of in a sit and wait mode and that haven't used Radium or Orca recently, those are the two I'm going to pick on right now, or not pick on, but mention. They both have a V2 out now as well. So anybody that had Radium issues before that was laggy and a little bit blippy, not anymore. They've solved those issues for the most part, and I think they're gearing up for the next um, leg of the bull market and getting ready for all that volume and transactions that they're going to have.
Sweet.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Can't wait for the excitement to come back. Because right now, myself, same thing. Nothing's really changed from last week. I still have my positions in all my LP pools, and some of them are out of range. I'm just sitting on it. They're spot positions according to my P brain. I'm not thinking too much about it, and just waiting for things to kick into high gear.
Yeah, as long as you got your liquidity pool in a good pair, there's no
Yep,
harm in letting it sit there if you got two solid tokens paired up
exactly.
there. So, is there anything on the LP side that's getting a lot of attention with liquidity? or is it more the
Um,
memes coming out?
well, on Solana, honestly, the biggest one that people have really not taken their liquidity out of is the Jupiter Solana pairing. A lot of people have a lot of faith in Jupiter, and with Solana taking the lion's share of volume when things were hot, I think people are expecting the same thing when the bull market resumes. So they're just keeping their liquidity in there. So Jupe and Sol pairing is still really really big, and then of course pretty much anything aside from memes on Solana held up really well. Now, adversely to that, my I also have a little like an LP in Injective and Sui. Injective is held okay. They're one of their swaps, Dojo Swap. That token has tanked, like it has taken a nosedive like crazy. They're not going to go anywhere. They are still building in the background, but the token itself, I believe it at one point it was just over $1 at the peak, and it's now all the way down to 5 cents. So that took a shit kicking. And then on the Sui side, it's doing okay. The Sui and Turbos, which is their main decks, that pairing is doing okay as well. It hasn't really. I mean, it's come down pretty much the same as everything else, but nothing major on that front. And then the other
Nice.
one on Solana would be Camino, which I mention all the time. It's doing well. They're in their second season for their airdrop points, and they keep adding different pools and liquidity all the time. So yeah, they haven't stopped. They're doing really really well.
Excellent. Anything else happening in the crypto world? Or are we done for tonight?
Yeah,
Yeah, consolidation. That's it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. Yeah, that's all I'm really hearing.
I was just looking at the Bitcoin chart right now, and since we had that dump back on the fourth, we are making higher highs and higher lows. So that's at least we're starting somewhat of another uptrend, which is nice.
Yeah. Even if we chop sideways for a little bit, it's perfect. It's a good place to accumulate.
Yeah,
I won't
exactly.
mind.
Now, and not only that, it's summer. Historically, this is normal.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I mean, if you follow the news, there's other little things that are showing signs of bullishness. Like for example, the miners, when Bitcoin hit an all-time high, and then we had that initial dip. A lot of them were, capitulating. They were selling. They were kind of making, because a lot of them have to upgrade their rigs, right? So they were taking profits and stuff. That seems to have stopped. The dumping from Grayscale on the ETF side has stopped, and the BlackRock and Fidelity and a few of the other bigger ones have begun accumulating again. There was a character which we are still not, or I'm still not sure if it's an entity, if it's an individual, if it's a country, but they call him Mr. 100. I'm sure you guys have heard of him, or that
Yeah, that 100
that
Bitcoin in a
wallet.
day.
They had stopped accumulating for, I believe, 14 or 16 days, and then it was only a couple days there, and then it was another month before that. Well, they've begun accumulating again. So, I mean, it's showing signs that the smart money thinks that we've hit a bottom. So, a lot of bullish signs.
Mm,
yeah,
excellent.
I think Germany had collected a whole bunch of Bitcoin too, so they're done selling it off from illegal activities. So that was a
Yeah,
big chunk
I
done.
think they have 30% left. Yeah, whether
Yeah,
that's keep it or sell it, I'm not sure, but at least the majority of it is gone.
yeah.
Nice.
So we don't have a lot of selling. I think the sell-offs have slowed down significantly.
Yeah,
So now we just got to wait for some of the stragglers that are probably left, who are probably just trying to sell off that little bit and waiting for that 1% to go up. Um, and that's really about it. And then hopefully decision time, right? Like I always say, after consolidation, decision. Are we going to continue to uh, pump up, or are we going to decide to continue another sell-off? But catalyst. That's what we're waiting for.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
looks
I
like
mean,
we got Mr. Chart Davidson here. We'll bring him in and see what he's thinking with final thoughts here. And
The one and only chart.
how you doing,
Did I
Chart?
make the final thoughts? Let's go. I was
you
so
made it.
excited to get the final thoughts. Hello, everyone, by the way. How is everyone doing? I know I've been a little bit late, but how's everyone doing?
Fired up.
Fantastic. Life gets in the way sometimes. It's all right.
Yeah, life is really hectic when you have to barbecue, make all of dinner, and,
Oh,
strangle kids along the way. But
That
it's all good.
sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
We just basically went over a couple of news items. For example, the Germany selling has slowed. Finally, they only have about 30% left. A lot of the ETF companies are beginning to accumulate again. What else? Mr. 100 has started accumulating. We talked about one of the catalysts that has really continued to do well even during this consolidation period is the Ton Chain on Telegram. How they have a lot of their play to earn click games, and it seems to be onboarding a lot of new users, bringing in adoption. We talked about Solana.
Did you guys touch on MicroStrategy doing a stock split?
Oh, we didn't mention that. That's right. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Oh, I
doing
didn't
a
even
10,
hear
10
about
to
it.
I
1.
think you're doing a 12-to-1 or 10-to-1 stock
10,
split.
10 to 1 stock split. Yeah, that's right.
Which is amazing when you think about it, right? Because now everyone's going to be super bullish on MicroStrategy because they're going to think that all money going towards it is going to be buying Bitcoin itself, right? It's almost like an ETF.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it pretty much is. It's a Bitcoin holding company at this point.
Exactly. So it's super bullish for everything down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
for
also
sure.
talked about the BUSD again being not a security officially, even though everybody already knew.
Now that poses a question, Juan. Do you think a lot of dexes and exchanges are going to relist it and make it available again? Because almost everybody stopped making it available, right?
Well, Paxos has not agreed to continue
Printing.
with BUSD yet. Now, could this now be a catalyst for them, right? Because they're out of the woods, or they want to deal with the whole, since it's still not regulated, it's not worth it for them. So I think that's the decision their company is kind of trying to deal with.
Okay. I just had a thought now, actually. A lot of dApps and stuff that were on the BNB chain last year using BUSD. Like I was involved in a lot of projects that they use BUSD in those in-game apps. And then because of the lawsuit and BUSD being delisted, a lot of projects actually went over to the Solana chain. So that was kind of another bonus for Solana. Although even though BNB or BNB chain really didn't excel in the dApp section, BNB as a token sure held up strong, which is really, really good to see. But we know without all that volume from dApps and stuff, it's kind of a little bit surprising. Now, Chart, the other thing we were mentioning just before you came on is we were going over all the bullishness on Solana. For example, how their volume on Radium has surpassed Uniswap. Orca is not far behind, and then the overall volume. And then, of course, we mentioned Fire Dancer, and Solana has now begun their bug campaign for developers to try to find any bugs in Fire Dancer. So release is imminent. They're saying November, December, maybe January. So that'd be really exciting for the Solana chain.
And isn't that the point? Like, I think Solana Foundation was waiting for something like this to happen, this onboarding of massive amount of transactions in the meme season that we had, right? And, how do you test a blockchain without, having real adoption happen? And it's impossible. So you have to have these moments where, there's a massive onboarding of users. They're all trying to use the blockchain in different methods. And, just like, the meme season going off at the same time as Jupiter. You guys remember that when Jupiter was trying to do their releases? And so it was really crazy at the time. And I think this is good. This is really, really good for Solana in itself. And I think, honestly, there's now no doubt in my mind Solana is going to stay for the foreseeable future because, it's an easy chain to use. It's really user friendly. They're going to solve the scaling issues. I think that no other chains actually experience. I know ETH experienced it a little bit, but you saw what happened with the bottlenecking of transactions, right? It favors only those for who pay the most. And so we really don't want to be using a chain that does that.
No.
So we want to rely on a chain like Solana where, the transactions are so small, the fees are so small, and transactions fees are really, really high. So, this is good. And I'm glad there's one chain that can actually say, hey, you know what? We tested retail volume, almost retail volume, right?
Oh, yeah. And at one point, they had more volume than all their chains combined.
Season, it was like there's a new token being created every 5 minutes or maybe a minute. And so just that alone is insane. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's really
and
good for
and
Solana.
they handled it fairly well considering. And then once Fire Dancer is released, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and it should help with everything else. And this is why it doesn't make um, it makes a lot of sense to actually have a Solana ETF in the first place, right? Because there will
Hmm.
be some staying power. Obviously with Bitcoin, obviously Ethereum, but I think there's going to be other ones. Solana is going to be another one, and I honestly think even Polkadot is going to be one too, because we don't talk about Polkadot enough. It's going to have a massive ecosystem in front of it. I just used Polkadot recently because I was staking some stuff, and transaction speed is just as fast as Solana. So like we're talking now like two good chains out there that people should be using all the time. I know other ones are there, Hedera's there, Cardano's there, but it needs widespread adoption, right? Developers building stuff, building games, building interactions, building tools, DeFi, whatever the case is. So it's really important that they have that scale in order for adoption to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. We'll have to see how it plays out. Fastest horse wins the race, isn't that what they say?
Yep. Yep.
Well, we're glad you could make it, Chart, even though it was the last couple of minutes. Actually, you know what? Before we go, because you are kind of our resident chart, no pun intended. Um, how does the Bitcoin chart look to you? Does it still look garbage, or are you seeing anything bullish?
It is still kind of garbage. I'll be honest with you, and I'm watching things like where's the price action compared to alts? How is Bitcoin
Mhm.
dominance doing? Right? How is the Tether dominance doing? Because the Bitcoin dominance it looks to be dumping, which means the Bitcoin stranglehold on the crypto market cap is going to be released, and it's going to tumble. So we're looking at a couple things, right? If there's a bearish momentum, there's a good chance alts hold ground compared to Bitcoin, right? Or vice versa. If there's a bullish momentum, as Bitcoin is going up, alts are going to moonshot because we really want that market cap dominance to dump. When it dumps, everything's happy. Everyone's happy. Your bags are
Yeah.
happier. Even if things do go down, they're not going to go down as much, right? And so, yeah, that's a really important chart. And I think, like we talked about earlier today on our spaces, is that there's a few things we can look forward to this year. One of them being the major election in the U.S. Also,
Mhm.
the fact that now there's a significant increase or likelihood of rate cuts throughout not only the U.S. and Canada, but all around the world. And so that's going to propel some action, right? Because borrowing money will be cheaper. And I feel like we're finally going to be back in the cycle, the economic cycle, that is so important because it was after 2020 when everything was turned upside down. When they were like lowering rates to infuse money or infuse the markets with money, and it was the wrong thing to do, obviously. So it took a few years to get back on track, which is during a recession you actually have to reduce rates, right, to spur on
Yeah.
investments and people getting jobs and so on and so forth. Like Canada just released their jobless report. They're reaching almost 7% unemployment, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
So you need these mechanisms to spur on investments and growth. And during recession, yeah, absolutely, we have to cut rates. And I think we're fully into our recession, and we will get that this year.
Few weeks ago, the consensus was that the U.S. didn't plan on dropping rates at all in 2024, and that they weren't going to have until 2025. And then, of course, you heard reports that there were going to be at least one. Well, I heard today that because of the recent data, that they may actually have two this year. So we'll see if that plays out because that'll be big for the crypto markets and the traditional markets as well.
For sure. And I think the CPI that came in today was actually really, really good. They finally had some contraction, especially
Yeah.
because, the last few CPI reports were fueled by higher than normal oil prices. And so that
Right.
didn't help with anything. But I think with Canada is a little bit different. Even with higher oil prices, people just didn't have money to spend. So that kind of helped with the lower CPI than normal, right? And so this is why the unemployment rate is actually telling in how they're going to act. They're probably going to reduce rates at least 2 to 3 times by the end of the year. And I don't know if the U.S. is going to follow because their unemployment is pretty good still, but I think they're due for at least one or two cuts this year.
Yeah, yeah, they have to. I mean, they really do have to, or they're going to cause a lot of chaos. Okay, before I get your last words, gentlemen, I was looking at the prices here. Bitcoin kind of stagnant, nothing much going on because you had mentioned the Bitcoin dominance was dropping. And I was looking at a few altcoins, and there actually are a few doing really well. I mean, Bitcoin is down today, 1%. ETH is pretty much even. Solana, actually, everything on the Solana ecosystem is kind of taking a hit today. Solana itself down 4.3, Render down 8%, and Jupe down, but which is down 6%. But then you have a few others, like Sui, for example, is up 3% today. Near Protocol is up 7% today. XRP, well, we don't mention XRP, but it's up. ADA as well, all those hemorrhoid cream users is up. So yeah, even though Bitcoin is down and losing its dominance, there are a few altcoins and ecosystems that are doing well. So maybe, hopefully, that can continue with BTC dominance continuing to drop if it does.
Yeah, it's
Any
a
last
weird
word?
situation. Yeah, it's a weird
Yeah,
situation just looking at it, and it's all about the dominance. Where it is compared to all the other things, and what Bitcoin is doing in reverse of that. So yeah.
exactly. Okay, last words, gentlemen. Juan, I'll start with you. Anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, don't be fearful, right? Lots of consolidation is happening. Good times are ahead, whether you want to be a seller or a buyer. Um, and of course, we're always going to be here to help educate. I think that's education is going to be key the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Chart.
Just what, stay in the game, right? What I mean by that is just be active in crypto, so you don't just walk away from it. Just keep tabs on things.
Yeah.
And just you don't miss things, right? It's really easy to miss in crypto because crypto's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, doesn't stop.
Yep.
Something can come out of China out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you miss something. Just to stay informed. Follow the right people on Twitter, right? Go into the right discords, like maybe ours or some other ones that you like. Make sure you get in the right information, and just stay on top of things because
Yeah.
any moment things can happen. I've been privy to that. I've been a part of that before, and it's like it's a good thing and a bad thing. So just be on top of it.
Yeah, like I was going to say, the for me, I'm not really active on any of my LP positions. I'm just kind of leaving them, letting them do their thing. Oh, did we lose Chart?
I just moved it because he accidentally
Oh,
moved his
there it is.
camera.
Yeah, I'm not really active on any of my positions. I'm just kind of in a wait and see, but I do pay attention to what's going on. And Chart, as you alluded to, the least that anyone can do, our listeners, is follow your Twitter Spaces every Thursday at noon, the DGens Weekly, and then, of course, right here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Glenn, last words from you, my friend.
I'll just reiterate what I said earlier.
Please do. Chart didn't hear it.
When there is the most fear in the market, that's the best time to get in. So I'm excited right now, and I will say it one more time. It just takes a little testicular fortitude.
That's right.
When
You need
things
some
seem the worst,
cojones.
they're usually the best.
So you're saying women can't buy? Is that what you're trying to say?
Don't get all woke.
Oh,
Of course, women can buy.
I'm just saying there's no testicular fortitude there.
Juan, you had to trump the
Hey,
conversation.
now, why are you assuming women can't have testiculars? It's 2024.
Uh-oh. Conversation for a different day.
I'm that Homer Simpson going back into the shrub. All right, at this point.
On that note, thanks everyone for joining. Don't forget to hit that like on your way out, and please subscribe if you haven't. Spread the word every Thursday, 7 p.m. We are here each and every every week. Sorry, Black Cat just posted on there. Last word, LF meow. What does that mean?
Let's fucking meow.
That's effing meow. Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, thanks everybody.
All right, see you later, everyone.